What is up, everyone? Tacos Fast 40 is back. My name's Kevin Alec, the Geek from DFS Army, and we're taking a look at the NASCAR Pocono race. I don't even know what's this one called, Taco.
It's the Great American Getaway 400. I thought it was
Great,
supposed to be the South Point 400. I don't know. It's
the Great
I like it.
American.
They're the names of all the races this weekend have just been like, hey, come to the Pocono Mountains. We got you. It's beautiful. Come check out our spotted lanternflies and big Appalachian mountains.
We got the gypsy moths in the area now too.
Fun.
Yeah, I love the gypsy moths. Yeah, in the Poconos. And we were just talking about this track and what's unique about it, Taco. I was looking at the historical low-scoring track, and you tell me why. Because it is fucking giant?
Big. It's tied for the biggest track we have with Daytona, Talladega. Well, not the longest if you count the road courses, but of the ovals, and I use that with some air quotes, of the left-turning tracks at least. It's the longest one, 160 laps. So, yeah, it's got the longest straightaway. It is very much a horsepower track. That is something that's been true about this. Now, usually this is kind of a chill race. The two races that we've had in the next-gen package have actually been quite caution-filled. I think we've had like 10 and 8 non-stage incidents over the last 2 years, but our caution prop this week is 7.5, so that's on the low side.
7.5. So, I mean, we've come off a bunch of very carnagey, like it's yellow all the time.
I see. This has to be a return to normalcy, and even if there is carnage, there has to be some normalcy just compared to the last 2 weeks, because the last 2 weeks were like utter anomalies when it comes to like crazy finishes. Like last week's finish was just, if you put on these tires, you come top 10. If not, you're fucked. And they were like the worst drivers all race. So that was just a disaster.
Last week was
whoever had the most gas at Nashville got to finish that race with 5 overtimes. It's not even possible for like someone like Zane Smith or John Hunter Nemechek to pull out another top 10 or top 5 or whatever here. It's like not even really possible for that, because it's such a large track that come the last like few laps or whatever, even if you like stay out on old tires or whatever, like there's nowhere to block. The fast cars will make their way up to the front. You really don't have surprise winners here.
I like it. I like less sort of mystery, get a little more chalky. We saw yesterday in Xfinity, it was extreme chalk. Everybody in DFS Army chopped first place in something. It was just super chalky.
The races so far this week have been a little lame, but compared to the last 2 weeks, it's been tame. At least it's been chill.
I like the predictability. Let me read this wonderful statement here about this race here. So after back-to-back weeks of utter carnage and ridiculous finishes, we go to a huge horsepower track, and it's going to be really hard for a back marker car to have even a surprise finish, even with the elevated number of cautions we've had here in the next-gen car. Taco, this sound familiar? It's one of the biggest tracks. It's one of the biggest tracks with the biggest straightaway in the sport. So you need speed to compete this week, even with the pit strategies in play. It's best to focus on the guys in the top 15 or 20 practice speeds, and guys on top teams. There's no room to block, so you have to stay up front to be fast. This is the Taco statement. We haven't been able to we haven't been to a comparable track because there aren't many 2+ mile intermediate tracks. What that means is normally when we go 2+ miles, you get a restrictor plate Daytona style situation. This one does not do that. They are in the intermediate car, but with the long straightaways.
Yeah, there used to be 4 of these tracks, and we were with the Auto Club down. We're down to 3. We got Indianapolis back. Indianapolis kind of just weird with it being like a straight up like IndyCar track, but yeah, with no Auto Club means this is the first time we see this track type really all year, and we'll go to a few of them kind of back to back here. We got Indianapolis and Michigan coming up, and that's pretty much it for this obscure track type. And yeah, this track's a damn triangle, so comparing triangles to rectangles, and it's going to be the name of the game the next few weeks here.
Listen, I'm all about it. I like a little more predictability in these races. It just favors good
I
research.
would have liked if the forecast was even accurate last week, so I would have been able to prepare for that way better. It would have been an awesome race, but hey.
It is what it is. But let's take a look at what's happened on this track in the past, and let's see if these numbers line up with. I think we're going to lean heavy on the research station today for this track. I love that it's consistent. So let's take a look and see if historically what you kind of described before, better cars making it to the front and all that, no real difference, no blocking issues. Let's see how that played out in the average scoring on this track. So one of my favorite sheets we have here on the DFS Army research station for NASCAR is the DK average by start, which gives you an idea of the fantasy production by starting position. And Taco,
and
just a brief,
a lot better actually.
What's that?
Over the next few weeks, I'll be updating this. Something I've been working on the last couple of weeks here. Should be nice for like the historical tab. We're gonna get all the practice times. The ownership,
okay.
Salaries,
That'll add another. Like, just so what you're doing is you're adding in a piece of like how predictive the practice was.
Yeah, and something I found about this track that's pretty crazy. Just looking at this year and last year, so about like 50 or so races. Was looking at where dominator points came from, and if you look at the top 15, or no, the top 10 drivers in 5-lap speed and the top 10 drivers in fast lap speed. That's where 80% of the dominator points come from. That's the second most out of those 55 races. So really, historically, this track has been the top like 10 or 15 in speed. Like the elites really gatekeep here, and they gatekeep hard. You do not have random people leading laps. It just never really happens. There's nowhere for you to block, and Auto Clubs kind of was the same way. Kind of missed that track. So it was a really good track, and it would be like the one thing that we could reference going into this week. But yeah, we just got to kind of treat it differently. The low number of laps does make the scoring kind of closer across the board. It theoretically puts place differential in play, but with how we got to practice and qualifying session in rain free. I know it's nice after like 5 straight weeks of this shit. Even had a little bit of weather in the truck race, but yeah, it should be. I think it's raining at the track right now, but it should be absolutely smooth sailing for the rest of the evening. They're saying like 1% chance of rain, but I mean, them not being right on Lake Michigan will probably help with that forecast staying true. But regardless, should be a pretty clean, chill race. Again, the caution numbers have been up, so might expect, I guess, a little bit more of that even. And then there's always the pit strategy as well, but we're just not going to see these like super weird finishes like we've had the last 2 weeks. It's going to kind of be, it's going to be those top teams coming in. Like if you look at the averages by season average driver rating, humongous cutoff after you hit that. You've got like the S and the A tier drivers. It's that mid range. That there's a real fall off there.
Yeah, it's very linear. So just my observation is it looks like just a mild benefit to starting up towards the front. Very, very mild. Probably more because the better drivers just qualify well than anything else.
Once you're outside the top 25, like the upside just disappears.
It's super flat. Look at this. I mean, it's very obvious here. It shouldn't be super flat. It should actually favor drivers starting a little further back because there are so few dominator points. You would think that.
Yeah, if you compare this to other tracks with similar numbers of laps, it looks completely different.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, place diff it almost seems like level balanced with where your starting position is based on this. Let's take a look at a couple more indicators, though. Yeah, average by starting by driver rating, you could see 110 plus. The best drivers do seem to score really, really well, and it is very, very linear in a down arrow direction. So the shitters in the back, you effectively what this is telling us is what you just said, what you broke down, which is like the Zane Smiths, and I don't want to keep mentioning that name. Let's call it Harrison Burton so that we know the guy won't do anything. Those types don't just accidentally tend to find their way towards the front of the pack. Like they don't just, you know.
Damn, that's a rough mention because Harrison Burton actually did manage to finish last year. The last year was like the most cautions that we've seen. It was an actual wreck fest here at Pocono.
Random.
So that is, I mean, that's still a possibility, but they've got the caution prop like significantly lower this year.
Why did I choose Harrison Burton? All right.
I know.
I was trying to choose
him, though. I think his best finish of this track type this season is like 28th or something.
I wanted the least offensive name. All right, so that's wild. All right, let's take a look at historical top scores, and there he is, Harrison Burton. So I sorted this. The thing that stands out to me just a smidge. Take a look here. So the highest scorer, Chase Elliott with 61. That is a low score.
Yeah. For what happens when the guys that dominate the race get taken out by Denny Hamlin.
D. Ham, he don't fuck around.
He does not fuck around at this track. You'll soon find out. Bro finds wins.
This was that weird year where there was all the Carnegie stuff, right? So
yeah, this is a blind. This was nonstop caution.
Stenhouse gets,
but they're all like 1 to 3 car wrecks. There's no real big ones, but a couple of years ago there was like a pretty decent one off of like a restart.
Yeah, something happened here. Look at, I mean, right here, Burton average running position 20th, finishes in 8th. Stenhouse average. It's not like these guys had these amazing average running positions. Although I would say
that's about as bad of a finish as you could imagine. That's like the Nashville or Chicago street version of this race.
Gilliland almost. Does he make it? Man,
Gilliland just does that naturally now. Which is crazy.
Let's see the year before. So let's go back to 2022. And in this case, you had Hamlin and Kyle Busch
on JGR. Right. These guys got disqualified from this race. They was cheating. So
that was back when
DraftKings thumbs up. We love cheaters. FanDuel, not so much. This made a lot of people very angry on FanDuel.
Oh, they took the points away?
Yeah, they take the points away on FanDuel if they don't pass tech. DraftKings doesn't care. We want to pay you out. If you're cheating, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You know, Junior Johnson would definitely be a DraftKings player.
Note that that is wild, but note that here's Eric Jones.
Technically, Eric Jones was the highest scoring driver.
But look, I just see names repeating, Taco, and I'm Eric Jones and Tyler Reddick.
Oh, the more you go back, you'll see Eric Jones nonstop because he's like a permanent top 10.
I love it when Eric Jones is good at a track, dude. I love that. Because then you get some predictability. Here's a big score from Kyle Busch one year. I'm going to ignore that. This was that year where Kyle Busch dominated.
No, it's just JGR. He always did this at JGR. And JGR is plus 105 as a team to win the race. Like they are heavily favored here.
I like to look at starting position, and you're getting that comfortable mix of lots of play stiff upside.
But the play stiff guys are pretty much who you'd expect.
They're better drivers starting towards the back, getting their play stiff points. And then if you get a dominator up front, that's kind of how this, look how
it's spread out too. The lead laps, they don't just go to one guy for the most part. You'll find a handful of guys leading like 10 laps most of the time.
Yeah, the only way you get these monster scores is going to be somebody coming from very far behind. Like Denny Hamlin absolutely destroyed the 2020 race. You could see started 19th, leads for almost the whole track, and finishes in first.
And you'll pit strategy also a big thing. Like stage 1, it's only like 25 laps or something. The strategy does seem to be to short pit there, but if you need stage points, you're not going to do that, and that could put you behind. So we like the guys who short pit. We like the guys who are locked into the playoffs already. Guys shooting for a win that aren't there on points. Like we like guys with it's in a situation where it's win to get in, and not guys who are like right on the cusp of points. So that could be a factor as we go into the with the stage breaks, especially here.
I'm going to the practice tab, practice times, because as we talked about in the beginning, practice times predictive in this track in the past.
Yeah, you want to be top 10, top 15 in like the best 5 laps.
Are we going average speed? What are we looking at as the most important one here? Best 5?
It seems like best 5 laps, the top 15, top 10, top 15 drivers.
Let's see if I can sort
That's
that.
going to like the top 10 is going to collect like pretty much all of the dominators. It's been,
Was
like,
there any issue between the A and B group that I need to like, oh, this group was slow, or it looks like no?
No.
All right. So in that case, as we sort by best, I'm seeing some interesting stuff
I see Austin Cindric there, and he's haunting me. Right?
Fuck is he doing here? Right. But let's start with Tyler Reddick, who showed up on a few of the winning best guys in this track kind of situation where he's been traditionally good here, and look at that, he's fast.
He's been good at intermediates too. All the ones that he's gone to, so he just racks up fast laps.
Truex dominating everybody, faster than everybody by like actual, real, palpable numbers. That's interesting. Austin Cindric, what the hell? Right? I don't even know what to make of that. Other than he ran a lot of laps, maybe that helped him. I don't know. That's weird. Kyle Larson
kind of just does this too. Like he tends to be very good in qualifying practice, and then come the race, unless it's Gateway, he's non-existent.
Are we like the opposite for Hamlin, who doesn't ever practice fast, but he's fine?
Hamlin, you can pretty much always ignore his practice week to week. He doesn't like to show his hand. That's his thing. He just doesn't like to show his hand, especially when he's like fast at a track. Like he's still the odds-on favorite, clearly.
I'm looking for
the worrisome one would be Bell, because I go into the week very much thinking it's still Bell time, because Bell's had like 2 poor finishes in a row just due to bullshit, but he was like the fastest.
It's
kind of been just the fastest everywhere that we've gone to over the last like 2 months.
You cannot.
But he was very disappointing in this practice.
You cannot fade Bell. I don't give a fuck. As a matter of fact, be happy.
He's just priced way up this week. He's kind of finally getting the respect that he deserves.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Until they see the odds makers fucking despise him now.
You can't. You got to just play Bell. You just got to.
Yeah.
At this point, every time you fade him, it is to one's peril.
It reminds me of Charlotte a lot going in, where like on paper he just doesn't look good and seem fast or whatever, but it just is.
It's interesting that Truex is so dominating. It just wow, right? But some other names that you wouldn't expect in the fast groups: Cindric, McDowell. Really, McDowell that fast?
Yeah, I'm not shocked to see McDowell be top 10 in practice. I feel like either him or Gilliland tend to do that like every week, just kind of randomly. But they're never together. I think they always try 2 wildly different setups. And that's kind of how, I think that's how Gilliland gets a lot of his speed too, is they'll just take 2 wild approaches at it in practice and be like, okay, that one clearly works, so we're going to go with this one.
I think the team's using that to help inform their decisions.
Yeah, because Gilliland, how often is Gilliland like 30th in practice, but then he flies up to like the top 10? Like it just kind of happens. Now we'll say that last year in the practice sessions, I think Reddick was the fastest, just like he had the best lap, but he was not fast in like the 5-10 lap averages, and he did all right. He kind of snuck up there at the end, but he didn't really lead laps or do anything. But the ones on top of the 5-10 lap averages were Byron and Larson, and they crushed. They dominated the whole race. They didn't finish well at all. I think Byron got shuffled down to like 16th just through the cautions or whatever, and then Larson famously got destroyed, just used up by Hamlin to finish the race as he kind of stole the win from him.
If you look at best 10 lap, by the way, instead of best 5, and this is again, I wanted to do the sort by both because there were some real differences in some spots. Like Keselowski gets much better when you go.
Yeah, he has long run speed. I think if this race goes green, that really plays into his favor here.
McDowell still up there. Reddick still hanging around. Cindric a little less. But you see some other names kind of popping in there. Bubba Wallace good in both. Bubba ain't no burger better than a Bubba.
I do kind of not really like looking at the 10 and 15 as much this week, just because of these guys didn't run that many laps with it being such a big track, with them being in the Group A, Group B system. And I think there were some cautions too
during practice.
No, that was Xfinity. I think the Cup one went mostly fine, but they barely got like 15 laps in, so I wouldn't look at like 15 lap average as anything.
Let's take a look at who stands out as not very good.
JJ Yaley in the New York racing car not looking all too hot.
Yeah, listen, they brought it to New York. He's looking really bad.
Yeah, Haley looks like just like last week where he was like dead last in practice. Someone's like, oh no, and then we immediately figure out, oh no, he's fine. He's perfectly fine.
He's probably fine. I'm not going to fade these
Yeah,
guys.
did the pasture and everything, and he was fine.
Yeah. Chase Briscoe, I don't know. Eric Jones.
We'll see a lot of Stuart Haas racing down here. Briscoe, Gregson, Priest. I think Barry's even like towards the bottom here, and he like qualified top 5. Like Stuart Haas looks horrible, which makes sense with them being a dead goose organization. Most of them,
those guys have been pretty
elsewhere.
good. I'm going to say these guys have not been bad this year. So
Barry is replacing Harrison Burton in the 21 car next year.
Look at the win odds for Barry.
Newsworthy. Yeah,
that is Barry has.
It's just because he qualified top 5.
Oh, is that what it is? Because I'm like,
he's been getting respect recently for sure. Gregson's the one that's actually had like the good finishes of this track type and whatnot, but he looked fucking awful in practice.
That is wild. That Barry is at 31. Has better win odds than Ross Chastain. Right in the same
doing that.
In the same conversation with Kyle Busch and Chris Buescher and Bowman even. What? And Bubba ahead of Bubba? You like Barry more than Bubba? I don't know. I like Bubba more than Barry.
Well, yeah. Given where they're starting, though.
I'll take McDowell over Barry.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, interesting on those odds right there. Let's take a deeper dive here in the odds and see if we can glean anything. I guess they give Harrison Burton a little bump because he once didn't suck here.
Yeah. You look at the recent finishes this year. Granted, we haven't been to this exact track type, but you can see Burton has been just fucking miserable. His best finish of 28th.
Yeah, no, he's not the guy this year. Pocono.
But Hemrick, look at Hemrick compared to him.
Yeah.
Unexplainable. He just ends up like he's like the luckiest guy of all time. It's literally all pit strategy. He just finds a way.
Killer Priest had the good race. Nashville. Let's see. I
wouldn't even. I'm ignoring Nashville. I really don't care if you did well or poorly at Nashville. It literally just came down to gas, I guess. Like Logano winning.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
that race was just bananas. I don't even want to relive it. Actually, I think I ended up.
I think Buescher also like they put the wet tires on at the very end or whatever. All
right, let's get into these teams, right? So you said JGR prohibitive favorite here, and we got Truex, Bell, Gibbs, and Hamlin. Our JGR crew. They are the odds-on favorite team to win this race.
Might as well throw Tyler Reddick into that as well.
Reddick is, they're connected with 23XI, so that would be also our boy. Ain't no burger better than a Bubba. I like it.
They're all fast except Bell.
What is the ownership?
And, Bell dropped significantly if you look at his odds. He's got the worst odds of anyone in the 10, 11, 9K range except for Elliott. Like, it's pretty bad. I'm
a little surprised here that you've got Truex at 25% ownership and D. Ham at almost 40% when Truex absolutely dominated the practice, like beyond all recognition in all ways.
You need to scroll over a little bit to the right, and all questions will be answered with that track history.
Okay, and so Hamlin has been. Wait. Did I pass the track history? Hold on.
That's right.
Oh, there it is. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, track history. So Hamlin has clearly owned this race, made it his bitch. God, I didn't notice that.
Truex has been highly kind of untrustworthy at the intermediates this year, but I think
he's been pretty
not a lot of his fault, really.
I'm not going to rip him. This guy's been pretty good here too.
Truex, he's clearly getting some love.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him the best car. Christopher Bell has been fine here as well. Tyler Reddick has absolutely owned this track. Let's see where Bubba is. Decent and good enough for his price point. Top 10 kind of driver at this track. So, and what about the Hendrick team? So usually when JGR is up there, obviously Hendrick is that other team. Are we ignoring the Hendrick guys? Byron second fastest in practice.
I mean, so last year Hendrick was the team to beat. Larson and Byron were the fastest on the track. So you can't discount them. Larson going to be highly popular. It's expected that he'll factor in sooner than later. Byron's a weird case because he looks very similar to Truex. His lap times were almost identical, like in practice, and they opened up around the same. But for some reason, Byron on DraftKings went from like 9-1 to like 13-1, as where Truex went up to like 5-1. So yeah, Vegas is loving Toyota overall compared to Chevy. I think JGR is like plus 105 and Hendricks like plus 300.
There we go.
They're another plus 230, and then a humongous gap between them and the next closest, which would be like Penske plus 900.
Should we set the JGR team to dominators and getting at least one or two going on this crew? Maybe. Include, I mean, what about
the problem is that the dominators don't score like crazy on here with there only being 160 laps.
It doesn't even matter about the domination. It's just more about lineup construction, where you might just say, or do a group rule that you, and I would include Bubba in there and Reddick. And just go.
Well, Bubba, you're not going to need to do anything. He's by far the highest projected play.
Okay, he would be in there anyway.
Like a Larson. I guess the biggest thing with this being only 160 laps is that you've got guys like Larson starting 12th, like Bell starting 13th. That little bit of place differential actually does matter here. Like Keselowski starting 14th, as we're at other tracks with way more laps, smaller tracks, like that place differential actually hurts them because it's harder for them to move up. Here, it really does help them. It bolsters their score because the scores are going to be smaller. Scores are going to be closer together. And little things like that place differential will actually really help a guy like Larson compared to Hamlin here.
Let's get a look at their starting positions.
8 spots further back.
We'll go to the cheat sheet in a minute. But yeah, Hamlin starting 4th with Larson 12th. So
you can see none of the good drivers start outside of the 15th because qualifying and just overall speed here kind of correlate really heavily.
How do you feel about Gibbs on the pole?
He was really good here last year.
Pole sitting though, no advantage at all.
I like to look for the we've been getting the stage props regularly, thankfully. And he right now he's 4-1 he's plus 400 with Truex, so he's tied with Truex there for stage 1, and then they've got Byron at plus 600 as like the third favorite.
Really interesting. Let's go to the cheat sheet. Unless there's something. I mean, we looked at the odds.
I think Hamlin's plus 600 too. No, he's plus 500, so he'd be the third favorite.
Yeah, Hamlin.
So it's overall, it just doesn't look very good for Byron. Vegas does seem to be highly against Byron for whatever reason.
Yeah, you know what? Who cares what Vegas says? Dude is fast in practice. No, he's fast in practice. You don't win. You don't win by just doing, picking the favorite, Taco. You got to be smarter than Vegas. And you are smart.
Well, of course.
I know that you are. I believe that. I believe it's firmly. Fuck Vegas. But it is nice.
Yeah, I'm still playing Bell. They're definitely haters, but.
Yeah. You got to play Bell.
It's more about anticipating ownership, I guess.
And again, where's McDowell starting? That's what I want to know.
I'm circling. He's starting like 21st.
Yeah, this is a core play right here. McDowell, Gilly. That's how is McDowell massive own? No. Okay. Fade him at your peril. Where's Jones? He's starting 23rd, but always finishing well here.
That kind of hampers him a little bit, and his practice wasn't very good. I was really hoping his practice would be better, but.
And our surprise didn't suck in practice, Austin Cindric.
Yep.
20th starting.
Might be cyberbullied into playing a little bit of Austin Cindric. Starting 20th is awkward, but
you literally started off this entire breakdown with practice times are important. Let's not ignore them, right? Then we saw Austin Cindric practicing really fast.
Yeah, but he's just a repeat offender of doing that and then sucking in the race like a lot.
Yeah, well, but the one time we faded his ass, he comes in first or second.
One time, I hit him every week. It works out 99% of the time.
It stung me though. It stung that one time he started second. That's how it goes though.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the the notes, the driver breakdown, all that good stuff. JJT is saying that Byron said he won't know what his car can do till stage 2.
Oh yeah, that's good to know.
Good to know. I guess we'll all find out in stage 2 as well. So right at the top, again, we'll go back to it. Hamlin, odds-on favorite to win, has absolutely destroyed this track. 4-time winner in the last 5 years.
Kind of.
Except he cheated on one of them.
Which I like.
I don't care. Keep cheating.
Love cheaters.
Yeah. Not the fastest in practice, but so what? He's never fast in practice.
He's Hamlin, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he does. We've got Larson starting 12th. Nothing stood out about him.
What does stick out, though, lead laps at intermediate tracks this season is averaging 47. The next closest is Hamlin, averaging 21. Bro is pretty good at racking up the dominator points. So, especially for DraftKings, like he's a fast lap guy too. So,
a little bit of play stiff upside.
I love that combo here. This is a nice spot.
You're gonna pay the price, though.
Yep.
Going to pay the price. Bell has absolutely destroyed you if you haven't been playing him for the last month or two.
Yeah.
Here he is, starting 13th, priced like the ultimate super stud.
I've had to lower his ownership projection a few times because it's looking more and more like they're just not going to play him again.
Look at this ownership on Hamlin and Larson compared to Truex. That is bananas to me. But Truex,
I do see Truex is going up for sure, though. The line movement is pretty clear that people are big on Truex. It's just his intermediate track performances this season have been pretty bad overall.
I think the big take for me, my thought is with Truex just in general, and maybe why that ownership maybe won't or shouldn't shoot up is what you said before. So it's a track where it's super easy to pass, right? So having the lead is not going to it's not that clean air track that you just hold it. In this case, the guy in the front is probably going to be the one in the fastest car, right? Yep. So it does not matter where you start. That's kind of why the pole sitter less exciting than maybe in some other places where you kind of hold the lead, clean air, all that shit. If that's not a thing here, then starting third is a big disadvantage, especially with a 160 lap track where you really need to lead 50 or 60 laps to put on enough points to absorb, the pain of dropping back even, to 7th or 8th place from second, right? Yeah. Like, let's say you led 60 laps, 1/3 of the race. What is that? I
don't think anyone's even done that in a little while.
And it's only 12 points that you're adding to your total by the time you're done with that. So it's not like, this guy racked up all these. He only added 12 points. And if you move back, 6 or 7 spots, you've just given back more than those points. So for these guys, for a guy like Truex, he really probably needs to win the race. It's going to be difficult for more than one guy starting top 5, I think, to be in the winning lineup unless they finish where they started. Definitely won't see 3 of them. Definitely won't see 3 of these top 10s. I would say it's unlikely based on sort of the math.
Yeah, unless there's finished 1, 2, 3.
It's super unlikely.
We don't have the mid-range value like we had yesterday to really go off of, so we may have to do a little punting just in order for these guys. Because you've got Bubba Wallace, and after that, it's like Chastain, Bush.
Well, let's see what we can
find. Not the sexiest
here.
Names, honestly, on a slate like this, but
we'll hammer through this. The DFS Army members have this sheet, and they can reference it as they're making lineups. So we don't need to go too crazy with every detail here. And guys, by the way, if you're not signed up for DFS Army, it's best ball season starting this week. There's no MLB this week, Taco. So we're going full best ball right here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're going to do some live stream best ball. DraftKings has some promo where if you do a bunch of best balls this week, they give you some free ones. So I'm going to do some DraftKings best ball action here on the YouTube channel starting Monday night. Each night probably around 8 o'clock. We'll do a live stream draft. Try to get a special guest on with us for that. Who's the dinger, bro?
Somebody ring the dingster.
Don't overlook the dinger, man. You don't want to overlook the dinger. All right, let's keep going here. So Tyler Reddick. So we talked about this top group. Willie Byron starting second. Win odds start. You got to have some of that. Man, he was fast in practice. I don't care what he said. Care what he says. Code Tattoo apparently gets you some discount on DFS Army subscription. I don't care what he says. Byron in my lineups. Truex best guy. I mean, Taco on this stud crew, you've got them all pretty much with a bunch of stars, like 3.5, 4 stars. Anybody kind of a fade for you personally in the top group?
I'm probably not going to play a shit ton of Byron, and then I'm thinking about Hamlin as being my fade. He seems like, he seems very publicly favored at the moment. The track history kind of is what it is. He's made no friends here, having to wreck multiple people to get these wins. And it's more of just like me having to choose people to get rid of. I'm just looking down the list here because I do still want to play Bell. I think he'd be one of the first guys that people would X off here. It seems like people are mostly ignoring Bell, maybe even ignoring Byron at this point.
Ignore him.
I don't like Penske at all. I mean, they're already low projected, but I just don't see anything from that group. Chase Elliott has had probably the best finishes of anyone this season, so he's really high up in the points and all that, but I'm not excited to play him like much at all. Don't like Bowman.
What about Reddick? We breezed over Reddick. I think Reddick might be the best play of them all.
I thought we haven't got to Reddick. Yeah, Reddick looks like just a really good play. I've been playing him most heavily at the intermediate tracks. It's been working out well, especially on DraftKings. Look at the pricing differential between DraftKings and FanDuel, and then consider that Reddick scores better on DraftKings than FanDuel because of the fast laps he gets. So that's kind of weird. Not a very good FanDuel play, but an awesome DraftKings play.
I kind of think these are level on FanDuel and DraftKings. Is this different?
No, they're not. You can look at the guys around him. Like, he's more expensive than Byron, more expensive than Truex.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. I got it. Yeah, Byron. Yeah, then Truex. Yeah, that is crazy.
But a lot of his value comes from his ability to rack up the fast laps, which is terrific for FanDuel. They're worth twice as much as lead laps. It's just FanDuel, not so much. They don't really care about that.
There we go. Chase Elliott. I like Reddick too. Chase Elliott said maybe a little less sexy.
Chase Elliott would score better on FanDuel comparatively.
Penske, Ryan Blaney. No go. Starting 8th. Gotta, here's your fade. Ford will slow this week. Penske doesn't care. Or not.
Him and Logano are kind of in the spots they usually are on slates like these, where maybe just throw them in like a single entry just to be different. But
dude, I like the under on that 23.5 lead laps prop on Prize Picks.
That Pick 6 dropped. Finally, like they always wait till close to the race, but yeah. So for lead laps, they've got Denny Hamlin at 25.5, Truex at 14.5. Larson at 10.5, and Byron only at 9.5 starting second. So throw DraftKings onto the Byron hate train. And for fast laps, it's given Hamlin 19.5, Truex 17.5, Larson 15.5, Gibbs 13.5, Byron 12.5, and Reddick 11.5. And then
that's your group, right? That's who's expected to do well. Those are the names that we want to focus on of this stuff. I think that's the dominator group, right? I think we just covered pretty much who might be a dominator. Now let's get into sort of the secondary tier of drivers and who could be sexy here. Keselowski, you like him. So I'm going to, I sneak peeked at Brady's notes. He loves Keselowski core play.
Yeah. He's made it happen at these intermediate tracks. He was amazing here with Penske, not with Penske anymore, but still the long run speed. You saw that come in really hard. They found something like late in runs. So that's interesting, especially if this goes green, and it's expected to be a bit more of a green flag race this season. But if we're talking pit strategy, he's already got his win. He's like the best at pit strategy. You've seen that on full display like this season. Managing to finish second at Kansas, second at Charlotte. Like,
does pit
dude finds a
strategy
way.
is pit strategy more of a thing when there are lots of cautions or when there aren't many cautions?
A lot of it is just the way the stage is broken down. Like short pitting is going to be really good here. The more cautions there are, I guess, the more it kind of throws it to the wind. And if there are enough, like last season, it almost would have been like gas strategy. Just
make sure you had a full tank at some point, like towards the end.
Yeah, there's like a lot of.
I genuinely didn't know
got down to it. There was a lot of like cautions towards the end, fucking a lot of this shit up.
All right. Kozlowski for the pit strategy, starting 14th overall.
Also, just general speed. Yeah.
Expensive though, and he was fast. That's right. He was fast in practice, which we absolutely love. Logano, other hand, another Penske Ford, starting 10th, nondescript. You got a fade on him. Chastain here, starting 19th. Okay, some room to move.
Yeah. Yeah, 19th is like, it doesn't look like a place differential play, but that absolutely is on a slate like this. Vegas doesn't like him very much, but he's led, I think in 2022, he led a significant amount of laps.
Did you got to cross off
doing that all over the place?
Enough with it. 2022, this guy was otherworldly. It was like Kyle Busch in 2020.
Kind of just default to going back to that point because it's the same car and there's still just such a limited sample size.
Yeah, but the dude has not done that since 2022. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. He had one year where he dominated everybody. No one could hang. I think they must have done something.
I mean, we've seen him when he's been able to reach the front. He's been able to hold on to lead really well. You saw that at Kansas, which is the highest correlating track to this one. And we saw it recently in Nashville as well.
27% ownership.
And Texas. So the only tracks where we've seen him actually like lead laps and do significant stuff like that has been the highest correlating tracks to this one. That's why it's interesting starting 19th.
Dude, Kyle Busch is on a fucking death spiral at this point of disaster. And here he is, 24th starting spot. Looked terrible in practice. Slow.
Not great. Yeah, he's going to be someone I'm probably avoiding, even though on paper, not the worst like place differential play if you consider like positive regression into this, because he hasn't been that bad at intermediate tracks, especially if you get rid of the Nashville, whatever that was, which he was looking great at up until the very end when he wrecked out. He was looking like he was going to get a top 5 finish. His track history here is just kind of also inflated like Hamlin's, because with JGR, he managed to get like 4 wins since 2017.
On paper, he's a better play than Ross Chastain. Better win odds across the board. In
actuality, will people play Kyle Busch? Week after week, the answer is looking more and more like no. He had the top 10 at Chicago last week. Cool. Here's a cookie. The 4 most expensive guys on this slate all finished outside the top 30 at Chicago. So I don't really care about that. I don't count that as a back to form kind of deal. It's like, congrats, you took slicks kind of deal.
Guys, we just got an insight into Taco's parenting style. Like, no, second place is first loser. Get out of here. Get out. No, we don't get a participation.
I don't know. The way I'm so skewed towards fantasy at this point. If you lead the most laps and you're optimal, it's literally better than winning in my mind. Like if you win, you're not optimal. Like, I don't give a shit.
I'm with you on that.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, I don't care. All I care is about my DFS lineups.
Fuck yeah.
I'm with that. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this breakdown,
you like driver retired. I don't care anymore.
If you like this style of content, it's what we do here on the DFS Army YouTube channel all throughout the year. NFL's around the corner. You have to be subscribed to the channel to get those notifications when the videos come out. We're breaking it down, best ball season, all that good stuff. Hit the subscribe button. You can like the video, share it with your friends. I don't know if you're watching this on Twitter, on the Twitter account, smash that share button, something. Let us know you're out there, and let us know in the comments who you're picking to win this race this week. Who's going to take this thing down? Who's that punt that's going to come through for you? Let us know in the comment section. And of course, we are going strong at DFS Army all week long on this channel, best ball season. So make sure to be here every night this week, 8 o'clock. We're going to do some live stream drafts. I think on DraftKings because they have that promo going, Taco. All right.
Oh yeah.
We're getting into the we know we want to play these studs. We need to find salary. They're all very expensive. I feel like there are more, like the prices seem like a little higher this week than usual. Almost like
They
there are
priced
more.
the slate really well on DraftKings.
Yeah, is that what it is? Because I'm
well-capped
feeling
slate.
like I'm not feeling great about the salaries here. Even the punts are not punts anymore. They're kind of
Bubba
expensive.
Wallace shouldn't be as good of a play as he is, but he seems like by far the best play. Like it's
fast car. So
Yeah.
I don't want to jump too far. Busher is also a good play.
Fresh off a fat penalty. So he just cost his team like $50K last week for running into Bowman at the end of the race. But
is that Bubba?
Yeah, but
is Bowman pissed about that? Is Bowman going to take him out?
Bowman, I don't know. I don't think he has emotions. He's not too concussed to remember anything. But for Bubba, I mean, he's just not a popular dude. People don't really like him. He's kind of a hothead. I mean, but overall, this slate, just looking at the slate, like he's the best play by far. And I think I'm just going to load up on this chalk because Bubba kind of a stigma about him that keeps him from being as high owned as he should be sometimes. Like when he is the chalk, he has like the Stenhouse effect of people going, I don't trust him.
Yeah,
Even though if you look at the actual numbers, like if we erase the names and looked at the numbers, he's one of the more trustworthy guys out there. Intermediate tracks, I mean, you can see he's like a pretty regular top 10, top 15 finisher. Only 3 DNFs in the last 2 years, and they go this track type the most. I mean, that's
I think
way less DNFs than like some of the best drivers. Like Hamlin has 3 DNFs, Larson has 4. Bell has like 5. Like, so his numbers are right in line with everyone else. He's not like a very untrustworthy person. He's top 10 in practice, pretty much top 10 the last 3 races here. Everything just works out beautifully for him.
And he's not priced poorly. So yeah, starting 29.
He's mad cheap, yeah.
Yeah. Daniel Suarez, the exact opposite, not looking too good for D-Swiz, starting too close.
He's like 30-1 to start the week and then drop to 100. Yeah. It's been rough.
He wasn't that bad in practice though. Suarez was pretty quick. So there's
there's no path to the optimal. I think for him starting 16th, like I don't see it.
These next 2 guys do have a solid path to the optimal. Gregson and Briscoe. Briscoe very crappy in practice.
Gregson also crappy in practice.
Yeah, but Gregson has just been good.
Yep.
Almost every week. So I don't, whatever.
When he actually finishes a race, he has 3 top 10s at similar tracks this year. Nashville, okay, I don't really care about that one. Let's call it 2. But the ones I care about were at Las Vegas and Kansas, which are the 2 highest correlating tracks to this one that we're at. And that's kind of all we have to go off of because this is, again, the Arevado Club. They don't have similar large 2+ mile tracks in NASCAR really anymore. That's why we're looking at practice so heavily. And yeah, that kind of like contrasts with like him being good at this in this package, at least this season. So I'm with Stewart Haas Racing, I'm proceeding with a lot of caution. I'm probably playing these guys very lightly. If I'm playing any of them, it's going to be Gregson. Briscoe, I really only like to touch when it's the short, flat track, honestly. Gregson, I have a little bit more faith in. Barry obviously started too high to even matter.
I think this next trio, Taco, is where the money is going to be made, or at least it seems on paper like where we want to be. And yeah, I'm going to start with Eric Jones, who is not looking like he's going to be super highly owned, but he's done really well on this track. He was in the winning lineup. This specific name was in the best, in the nuts, so to speak, on a few of the more recent trips to this track. So tell me, you've been really good with Jones. I only see 3 stars on him. What are your thoughts on Jones here?
Where he's starting? The thing is, he was in much better form before he had that back injury at Talladega and had to miss multiple weeks. He comes back, and the only like really good performances we've seen from him were at like tracks like he's exceptionally good at, like Darlington, Loudon. And it's hard to say because a few of these recent races have been pretty bad, but we've seen him be continually slow as could be in practice. Now, I wanted to see more in practice from him because when we've seen him do really well here, he was fast at practice, and I just haven't seen him be fast in practice since coming back from his injury. I don't know if he's still like down a step or whatever, if Legacy is just ass, which I'm kind of inclined to believe that Legacy is just ass. Um, I'm cautiously optimistic with Jones, but I don't think I'll be playing him a whole lot as much as I wanted to going in, because I know this is a good track for him.
Let's just compare it to the projection. So you've got him at 17%. Are you going over that?
Yeah.
You're going to go over that?
Probably not.
No. Okay.
I'm playing a lot of front row. I'm going to be well over on that.
Well, rightfully. Listen, these are the two best, to me, even almost as good as Bubba Wallace for lower ownership. Michael McDowell starting 21st with like the fastest car is absurd. So that to me is like the guy that you want to go well over the field on. You've got him as a core play. Top 5 speed in practice. We've literally spent half the breakdown talking about practice speed being important here. And this is the first time you're getting McDowell outside of the top 10. He always overqualifies.
Went from 150 to 40 to 1 overnight, which is pretty cool.
I like that change too, man. That he's popping. You know, I think he's popping.
Oh, it makes him different than Cindric, right? Because Cindric didn't see anywhere near that amount of love, and he posted pretty similar practice times and qualified right next to him.
We're gonna have to play some Cindric Taco at low.
You can.
I'm gonna
everyone
play
else can have fun. I'm going to keep hating Cindric.
Yeah, I'm not gonna not play the guy. Now, Todd Gilliland did not do well in practice, but you see, and I like this price point. This is what I'm saying. We're gonna need to have.
I don't care because his teammate did well. And every time we see this dynamic, Gilliland goes from like 35th to like, they're like, what is he doing in the top 15? He's just there. He does that so fucking often.
As Ross said to Rachel, fine by me. I'll take some Gilliland. Starting 33rd with all the play stiff upside. The guy has absolutely torn up nuts lineups all throughout this season. So whenever he started far back, look, the price is up. He's in the right team.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. McDowell and Gilliland, fucking A, right? Those are your guys. And they're not even as high owned. Like I said, I think they probably have a path to outscoring Bubba Wallace, right? Like just as good for lower ownership. I like that. Now we got Austin Cindric. We talked about this. Fast in practice. No one likes Austin Cindric. Penske, Ford, blah, blah, blah. Not good, not good, not good. But I think you got to play some Cindric. I don't think I can't. I'm not fading it, Taco. I'm not doing it. Last time, you know, when I fade him, I get burned. Or one time I got burned. And all I remember is that, not all the other times I faded him.
Yeah, I remember all the other times. And
I only remember the one time it burned me.
I just remember every time. And then just think of that as a percentage in my head. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, see, you're doing it the right way. I just remember that one time, and it tortures my soul.
Yeah, I'm like Trump remembering every other rally where he was just fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, odds are in my favor.
Fight. I don't even want to get into it, but holy shit, what a day yesterday.
Let me address this here. Yeah, so Pocono having like the #1 fastest car I found isn't like as super important as it is at other tracks, like shorter tracks. It's really just about having like a top 10, top 15 car speed wise to put you in the mix to be able to compete up there. And yeah, I think like C was like running like top 10 all day yesterday and he was like fastest in every split in practice yesterday. Ended up petering out towards the end. That's Xfinity for you. But yeah, I think Reddick was in a similar spot last year, right? Where he was the fastest car, but he didn't end up being like.
I didn't play Ryan Sieg. Wait,
the best, right?
I smashed Xfinity yesterday. I didn't play any Ryan Sieg. Where was it?
I think Ryan Sieg was the second highest owned yesterday, starting 7th.
Really?
Off the practice times. Yeah.
That's so funny. I didn't have any exposure to him at all.
Damn.
Did I? No. Why? Yeah, I don't know. All right. Well, good notes, guys. I just played your cores or Brady's cores yesterday and came in second place with like just an insane ROI. Just made a couple lineups for that one. It was too nice of a day outside. I was out by the pool.
I've done well both the races. It's just that It's hard to win a lot of money when the chalk just does so well that everyone chops like 30 ways.
I like it when that happens. I don't care.
Probably not happening today though.
I hope it
Had
happens.
enough parity that
Be ready to rock.
Yeah,
all right, so
the
a couple other names here. Then I want to pop on the Brady sheet real quick for some differences. But Stenhouse, anything to be excited about with Stenhouse here, starting 31st, got the play stiff upside?
I mean, he survived to a 7th place finish here last year, and that's cool, but no. He hasn't had a top 15 finish in this package this season, which is weird because seasons before, he's more of an intermediate track guy, not really showing up in the short tracks, and just kind of the script kind of flipped for him a little bit this year. The guys starting in the 30s usually qualify there for a reason. So unless you're Gilliland, I'm not really or Haley, I'm not really too excited to play anyone in the 30s this week.
Killer Priest really slow, but the Dinger, we got to address who the Dinger is. Brendan Dillinger, wasn't sure, but
somebody
AJ Allmendinger, aka the Dinger.
Yes,
26th over. I always like playing Allmendinger, but yeah, this hasn't been the style of track where he's done well.
No, this has. We've only seen him like once or twice this year. One was at Nashville, of course, which is a track he's really good at, and he ended up finishing 11th and running really well there, although it was a bit of a disaster race. But if you look at just last year, he had 4 finishes in the top 15 at this track type, had the 5th place finish at Homestead to end the year before getting sent back to Xfinity. Like, he's capable. He was 17th here last year. It's fine. Yeah, he doesn't run enough to have like the most complete projection. I don't really like his like 5-lap speed is the only concern, I guess, there. But if he's going up against Stenhouse, I'm probably taking Stenhouse. Against Hocevar, though, Hocevar is interesting as fuck because he's been a legit top 15 car. And he seems to be getting even better. Like, I don't know, he's in a really good spot here. The problem is he's just starting 15th. He's been starting like 15th to 20th every week. Keeps his ownership way down, but like the dude's almost been like capable of sneaking into the top 10. I don't think he actually does that. I think he's probably finishing between 15th and 20th, but his form is just ridiculously good for the equipment that he's in. And he was also like top 15-ish in practice.
I love it.
So I kind of have him like similar to Stenhouse and Allmendinger in this range, which kind of defies conventional norms of like starting position. It's just, yeah, he's been good. He should be getting another price increase here soon, I think, because one day he'll finally qualify poorly, one day, and he'll be an elite play. I think we've just been waiting for that for months. The dude just always qualifies like mid-pack.
How could Spire be competitive at all?
Spire's supposed to be really competitive going into next year. I guess they're bolstering out.
Interesting.
Yeah,
good for them. Another big name to pay. I don't know that I can really like Hocevar. It's I don't know how the numbers work out starting 15th.
It's like this. Yeah, we feel like I have this conversation every single week. Where it's like Hocevar, he's good, but where he's starting, and then he ends up like being almost optimal, but not really.
He could edge his way in there. He would need
kind of in the almost safe fade zone, but
he would need to finish 7th or 6th or really, really high up there to have a shot at that 50.
12th.
We saw Taco. We saw the number. You've got to put up 50 points on this track to be in the nuts. It's like a mix between 50 and maybe 65, 70. That's the range.
But not at 6K is the thing.
Even at 6K, I think you got to be up close to 50, like 47. You're not going to get there with a 33. Like that just did not make the nuts line up in the past. Past performance, not indicative of future results, whatever.
Yeah, you needed like Jones and Gilliland last year, and they scored around 50 each. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that's what it's been. Listen, anything can change, but that's what it's been. So for him to get that 48 or 50, understand
he's going to score fine. He's probably not winning a tournament. He would really need to, come in like top like 8.
That's what I'm saying. Like great race, and he finishes in 10th place. Doesn't matter. Not good enough. 7th
might be good enough on FanDuel is the only thing I can think of. That's why I have him a little bit better on FanDuel over there.
Dinger,
the Dinger,
is almost free. At 3,500, they're basically giving the Dinger away. for free on FanDuel if you want him.
Yep. And then probably the most important play of this range, Justin Haley.
Yeah.
He's been elite. He was the slowest last week. It didn't seem like it at all. He had to do the pass-through penalty because his car kept failing, which is always a good sign. I love cheaters. And yeah, it ended up being perfectly fine. Don't mind it again here. Haley's had top 15 upside almost every week, it seems. Like, if you just look at his overall form, it's quite insane. 16th, 13th, 29th, 13th, 33rd, 9th, 22nd, 9th, 18th. Like,
I love
in
it.
a Rick Ware car, that is absurd. Like, he actually, like, we all thought he was crazy for going to Rick Ware. He's like, why would you do that? And you're a perfectly good situation in college. That car honestly looks better than any calling car this year, which is crazy to think about, but it's true. He's just a talented driver as well. So
can't ignore this guy starting 34th overall. You just can't.
No.
He's been a guy that's been. I feel like he's been competitive. Let me go to Haley.
He's been one of those like DNFs I listed. Like, he legitimately was running in the top 10. I think it was Loudon. Short track there and all I know, but like the dude's just been like super surprising.
Not great here per se. As I'm looking, last year 33rd, didn't have a great race here. Intermediate large tracks, he's got some good recent, the Nashville
considering the equipment he's in, it's crazy. 8th place in a calling car at Las Vegas, and that was a legitimate 8th place. It was insane.
Going back a couple of years.
13th at Texas. No, that only goes back 1 year. That's how many intermediate tracks we go to. I don't even have 2022 stuff on there.
Okay. Yeah, so he's had a good finish. Speaking of had a good finish, Killer Priest had a good finish here in 2021.
Yeah. Back when Stuart Haas Racing was a real team, coming off of like a 10-win season. We could throw that 4th at Nashville right in the trash can.
That was
the Texas finish. I guess I'm a little bit interested in looking at that, but I don't think there's anything to see from Priest here because that team had garbage practice times as a group. Like, the whole bottom of the field is just Stuart Haas, and Priest ran the second most laps of anyone, and is still 34th in 5-lap average. Like, that is really slow.
Colo has not been terrible here historically.
So LaJoy, of anyone the 5K range, like, LaJoy is by far the fastest. And he's starting 30th. He usually would start like 20th or something because he's usually a pretty decent qualifier. He hit the wall on the exit, so he ended up not putting up as good of a lap time as he could have. On paper, he's in a really good spot to like move up from 30th, right? It makes a lot of sense. The problem is he's kind of been, if you've been watching the races the last like month or so, the dude has been a wreck machine. Like, he's looking like a pinball, just constantly running into people and just making egregiously aggressive plays and just being overall shithead. If he could just relax and calm down and go from 30th to 20th here, not a bad play at all. I like the practice times a lot.
20th fastest car. So he's got a car that was, acceptable speed, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say it's still on the outside of being respectable enough.
Yeah.
I think for me here, but again, if you need to go down his price, he's probably I don't know, because Hemrick is just a weird one. I don't understand Hemrick. He looks horrible. He's always 500 to 1 or 1,000 to 1 at these races. But if you look at the
the odds makers have him.
It's ridiculous. 19th, 20th, 30th, 18th, and 9th.
They see him the same as Cody Ware. Like, he is the worst.
Yeah. And in all these other races, he was as well. I think he's just actually lucky. Like, I think it's just it's just coincidence, I guess, that he just randomly ended up like the Nashville, the 9th at Nashville. We can pretty much throw that one out, right? That was a wreck fest. One of these races, I don't remember which one it was. The dude just actually got bailed out big time gambled on not pitting, and it just worked out for him. Like I think his finishes are super duper inflated, and his track history here, while it's good, it's from years ago. I don't really care about that. So yeah, I'm more likely to take LaJoy over Hemrick here, even though Hemrick has those crazy finishes.
I'm just gonna. I quickly dived over to the Brady sheet just to get a little contrast.
Yeah.
Here on kind of what he looked at versus kind of what you were seeing, and I'm only really seeing one thing that's.
I'll challenge him on Briscoe. Why the fuck are you playing Briscoe?
He loves Briscoe. He always loves Briscoe.
Yeah, he's always wrong about Briscoe intermediates.
No,
I don't know what he sees.
He's been right about it.
Tracks, nah,
flat.
bro.
He's been right on the flat tracks, and
Nah, that's why I'm with him. I'm with him there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here, I don't see it. Unless I mean, I just don't see this as a place where you could be slow and kind of luck your way into a good finish, even starting 28th. Like
to me, the shocker of the Brady call was the
don't love McDowell. Yeah,
for McDowell, really over owned. He probably will be heavily owned, but like, good reason. I don't know. That's interesting. Brady not as in love with McDowell as maybe you or I. Okay. Gilliland, there it is. Loves Gilly. Everybody loves Gilly for this track. That's fine. Bubba, all in. Busher. We didn't really talk a lot about Busher.
I think the big thing with him is that the highest correlating track to this one by a decent margin is Kansas, and that's where Busher came so close to winning.
Okay,
so that's the point in his favor. His price has reduced a little bit, and it's about where it should be. It's kind of what I have to say about a lot of these drivers. Like, again, DraftKings kind of nailed this slate.
Yeah, I think we're going to need to play a lot of Gilliland and a lot of McDowell and a little bit of Haley in order to afford, and of course, lots and lots of Bubba in order to afford, 2 or 3 of these guys in your lineup. And that's how it's going to go.
Even some LaJoy, I'm thinking.
I don't know if a little bit, not much.
You can't quit them.
Yeah, I can't quit you. That's it, guys. That's the breakdown. NASCAR Pocono. It's right down the street. DraftKings used to call me up back in the day and be like, hey, you want tickets? Want to go out there? I'd be like, it's 3 hours away. If they would have called me this one, I probably would have done it because it's summertime, but, they never had. It's always during football season. Like, bro, it's football season. What are you doing? Jeremy Collier says it's a Cindric kind of a day. That's a tournament winner.
Yeah, I hope everybody except me plays Cindric. That'd be lit.
Somebody had asked
I would enjoy that
on the optimizer what your ideal, what ownership should be or where you should set it. And I have definitely been, setting caps on ownership. I think that's very useful in
I like telling exactly what to do.
I'm not going to say exactly what to do. I'm going to show a technique that I use for figuring it out without having me to tell somebody. So what I'll do is I'll run, 100 lineups or so, and then I'm going to sort by the highest total P own, right? The highest total projected ownership. You could feel pretty comfortable that this lineup is going to be very, very highly owned to the point where it's probably not a good.
It's not crazy though.
It's a good lineup. I like this one.
Compared to a lot of other slates, there's not much egregious chalk like we see in the lower series, right?
I think Hamlin and Larson are probably
they split each other up enough. Like that combo together will be popular, yeah. But I mean, outside of Bubba, there aren't any like crazy people you'd think to be like 50% owned or so. Those plays just don't really exist, and it's kind of spread out. So I don't see repeat lineups even being much of an issue.
I would probably be apt to look at this number and say, yeah, these lineups will probably be a little too chalky. These specific ones, and maybe
like 175 or something.
Yeah, not 175, but like maybe even a 160. I'd usually take about 20, especially when you look down and it just kind of cuts out the fluff down to 160. That's probably about where you should start. So I just look at it and I say, all right, let's cut out the fluffiest, the most highly owned, and that's usually the top 20% or 10% of actual lineups. So if out of 200%, I remove about 10% of that, the top 10%, which would get us from 182 down to about 160. So if you're asking me what I might do, 160, 150, 170 as a cap. 170 won't do much, so probably 160, 150 in that zone. And what that'll do is probably eliminate a lot of the Hamlin-Larson combinations that I don't love anyway. So not that those two can't be in the nuts together. They absolutely can. But, you know, where's my I'm just not getting the Truex, like the Toyotas that I want. Because it's going, it's going to Hamlin, but it's not giving me Bell. It's not giving me Truex. Reddick. Reddick is that guy that, like, if you're playing these other guys, you're not going to get Reddick. So you got to kind of force that a little bit. I want to see what the total exposures were here. Yeah, so there you go. If you just run the opto, this is what happens. You end up with Larson and Hamlin pretty much together in every lineup. Way too much Kyle Busch as well. And Colo, what the? Oh, interesting. Yeah, so this will have to be controlled by you, the user, to make sure that you're getting your Truex, your Reddick, the non-Larson and Bell, the non-Larson and Hamlin guys. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. NASCAR, Pocono, break it down. We got MLB All-Star break coming up this week, so we're going to do a lot of basketball. It's going to be a fun week of PGA, all those alt sports, and even, Taco.
Got a major British Open.
Got the British Open. You know what else is going right now? And I don't mention this enough, but, we have really good League of, esports coverage here at DFS Army with Advantage, Ray, and it is Summer League time for League of Legends. So if you're into
WNBA popping off.
What's that?
WNBA popping off.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to
come up season.
I know we have a great crew for WNBA, but I just like Caitlin. And that's it. I can't back WNBA. I'm sorry. But
I'm just saying, it's the sport probably increased its viewership by probably more than any other sport has in recent times.
I would say
good for them.
One player brought like at least doubled, maybe tripled.
If you can bet on it, I don't care what the sport is,
The betting has been good for WNBA.
That's what I'm saying. It's probably
it's been good.
Yeah.
I just like to go out there and watch Angel Reese miss shots and just rebound them and just rebound and miss another one.
It's that girl in MMA just slapping each other and just racking up points.
She racks up the points. Yeah, Angel Reese, one possession, she comes like, how'd you get 4 rebounds on one possession? Oh, she can't shoot.
Fantasy monster.
Yeah, I like that. I'm for that. All right, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Good luck today. Helmets up. Get those avatars in first place across these tournaments. Let's show the field who's boss. Let's fucking go. Thanks, Taco.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
Do I make a winner pick?
Oh, whoa. Too late.